You know, I wish I didn't have to hold this by hand. But this is going to be a very quick video because I have places to go and I have things to do. And don't mind me, I am just doing some things on LinkedIn. It's boring. I don't need to tell you what I'm doing. But anyway, let's talk about how to spot nutrition fluff. And if you don't know what I mean by nutrition fluff, I'm speaking about nutrition misinformation. And the reason why I'm speaking about a lot of nutrition misinformation is because months ago, and I mean months ago, I posted a video about eating for your blood type. And I got certain responses. Some of them were mean, but that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. And I totally understand that some people weren't raised with the etiquette to respectfully disagree with someone. That's okay. That's okay. We're continually learning. So I view these things as a grain of salt, right? Because I know some people have no home training. But there's a lot of misinformation, not only on that blood type video where I was saying, like, you know, you really can't eat for your blood type, but in many other videos or many topics that I do discuss on social media, whether that is about high blood pressure, whether we are talking about diabetes, whether we are talking about any type of metabolic condition, I always have someone that has some type of anecdotal experience that may have worked for them, but just because it worked for them does not necessarily mean it's going to work for anyone else, and all these other things. So I want to look at today 3 ways that you can sort through misinformation. And this topic is also important because, you know, with all these changes coming down the pipeline, it really should behoove you to take more of an initiative and pay more attention to your overall health. What I want to really encourage you to do is really evaluate the source. When someone says something, right? Where is it coming from? Is it coming from a celebrity? Is it coming from someone that does not have a background related to health, depending on the topic? Is it coming from someone that is not a registered dietitian? Again, depending on what the topic is. Where is that information coming from? And the reason why I want you to know where that information is coming from is because there's certain terminology which is used. Whether that terminology, you know, if you see me looking, I'm still working on my LinkedIn stuff. Whether that terminology is, detoxes or supplements or cleanses, these should all send up spidey senses in your mind. So I do want you to evaluate the source. The source is important. Another thing that you should not hesitate to do is to ask the individual that is telling you this source, what is going on here? Okay, so this is not giving me what I need to give. Anyway, I'm gonna figure it out. The second thing that I want you to do is when you hear someone online say something that you may disagree with, right? Or send up your spider senses, I want you to ask them what is their source. Their source should be coming from peer-reviewed journal articles. People give me anecdotal sources all the time. They say, well, I knew someone who it worked for, and this person saw the XYZ results. That is not a valid source. You need robust research to prove a point. Third thing and we're still in this category about, you know, really assessing, evaluating the source, you know, where is it coming from? We're still in this category. So we talked about, you know, who is speaking. We talked about the sources. The third point is if there's someone that says something that may rub your personal convictions the wrong way, I just want you to realize your personal convictions are not necessarily sound science. They're not. there has been a lot of people that I have worked with who, you know, have a certain condition and they're doing certain things thinking that, you know, if they do XYZ, it's going to help their medical condition because they heard it from a friend, they read it on the internet, they saw somebody's sister's friend's cousin's mother's dog owner's brother do it. I want you to realize just because it worked for someone else does not mean that it's going to work for you. So that's number one, evaluate the source. Number two is watch out for red flags. There's tons of red flags. So the first red flag that I want you to pay attention to is sensationalism. So when I talk about sensationalism, I'm specifically speaking about, okay, things are getting squared away now. I'm speaking about people that like to make promises to you and they cannot keep it. So a great way to really point out sensationalism is if they make very overreaching comments saying that their specific supplement or whatever they're going to tell you to do is going to cure, or it's going to heal, or it's going to reverse a certain condition. According to a lot of research, when you're diagnosed in my niche, which is type 2 diabetes, I also deal with pre-diabetes, but specifically talking about type 2 diabetes is not something that can be cured. It's not something that can be detoxed out. It's not something that can be healed because it is a metabolic condition. Therefore, that means the metabolic assault has been going on for some time. What diabetes can do is it can be properly managed through diet as well as lifestyle interventions, and if need be, medication. I've seen so many people bash medications, and then when they come to me after they bash medications, they're in a far worse situation than they were a couple years ago when they were told to take the medications, which is going to decrease the inflammation in their body and help their overall condition. So I want you to watch out for red flags, especially with like the sensational tone. And if they say certain things like, oh, you know, we can help you lose 20 pounds in a week. That's not how weight loss occurs. You may be losing water weight. You may be fasting 40 days and 40 nights like Jesus and lose the weight that way, but that is not sustainable. So I want you to watch out for those red flags. And also underneath the topic of being careful with these red flags, anyone that demonizes certain foods is a huge problem as well. So in the diabetes as well as pre-diabetes space, there's a lot of carbs are bad, fats are bad, and I want you to be very careful of that. The reason for that is, you know, carbs do have a proper place in the diet, fats do have a proper place in the diet, protein has a proper place in the diet, and I feel that we do live in a society where we over sensationalize. We're too focused. We're too focused on protein when we actually need to be focused on all of our macros. Carbs are not necessarily bad. So that is point number two. So to recap, point number one is to evaluate the source. Point number two is to watch out for red flags. And point number three is to be aware of widely circulated myths. So there's a lot of myths that I do here in the diabetes space. I think I've made a video about it. If I did make a video about it, it will be popping up now. But some of the myths, which I shared one with you earlier, is that carbs are bad. Another myth that I do hear quite often, especially from my West Coast clients that I do work with, is that you have to be vegan or you have to be vegetarian in order for your glucose numbers to improve. No, you don't. Another myth that I've heard a lot is, or I've seen a lot, is people tend to skip meals and they only eat one meal a day in an attempt of that possibly helping their glucose numbers. No, the body doesn't work like that. What's going to actually happen is glycolysis. The body does not work like that. So I want you to be careful of these myths. So again, just to recap, the first myth is the first thing I want you to do to combat misinformation is to evaluate the source. The second thing I want you to do is to beware of red flags. And the third thing is to beware of widely circulated myths. There's a lot of people out here talking about this is what they did, this is what, you know, happened to them. But you gotta really be careful. You gotta really be vigilant because some things can end up hurting you.